Right, here we go. As here, it's got a interesting aesthetic, like that of a VHS player. What's it you were saying? I don't put them on the list anymore because no one other than like 4 people ever come anyway. Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, but I keep up the trying because I have had people jump into my link and been like, oh yeah, I saw you advertising this, or I saw you were playing Stream Raiders, or blah blah blah. I saw you doing one of these things, therefore I thought I'd join you. That's Stream Raiders, by the way, in case you didn't know. Fun little game. But I have been getting more people in there as well, which is a good thing. So I am getting more viewers by doing that. And it is a hard thing to do, but I find it does pay off every now and then. Anyway, let's go into Morph Girl. I came across this when I was looking for does not autosave. Oh shit. Windows will use the cogwheel icon to save, load, or quit the game. Windows save frequently prior to important events or decisions. Load these save files should you wish to revisit them. Yeah, so this game sounds very rough then. Because a lot of games with choices, you can just redo the choices. It's in the house. Lost the link for the Raiders game. Don't worry. I mean, a little update on the chat bit. In fact, just in case you do have any interest, I'll just copy what Stream Captain Bot said and post it. I mean, it's obviously not 30 minutes at the moment, but that was a couple of minutes ago. There you go. 30 minutes. Head to Lane Pierce. On Friday, it will be over a year since the death of my wife, Rebecca. Since then, my life has been one of tedium and monotonous routine. I've been there. I work an unpaid office job at a filing insurance company. I don't have any friends and I rarely leave the house. In just a few days, everything is going to change. Fuck you, phone. To be honest, I'm like that when I wake up in the morning. Oh yeah, I like that minigame too myself. If you enjoy it, go for it. And if you do enjoy it, you can always help streamers like me as well. But of course, it's all up to you, you know. I'm not going to pressure you or anything. Let's see, I'll add that to the tags. I've got a list of tags that I'll add to YouTube. Anyway, Rebecca was a writer. Her reluctance to find real work put strain on both our finances and our relationship. During an argument over our accumulating debt, Rebecca suffered a seizure. She's quickly diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Oh shit! Yeah, like I said, this is a depressing game. She died 9 months later. Fucking hell. Every day I watch her favourite movies, read her journals and her short stories. When starting out as a means to move on, quickly became a routine that I couldn't escape. There's little to my life outside of what I have left of Rebecca. I'll wait until you see the Morph Girl. Because I'll be very curious as to what its intention is. I think that's part of the horror in this, is I don't know the intention. Very quickly become to underperform at work. My boss was very understanding, but as the company started to lose money, co-workers began to resent me for the work I could not do. Oh, fuck them! You lost your wife. It's not like you just sort of one day had a bad day and then you're like, oh, I can't work. I was freaking relegated to my own office. They always make hateful comments and drop hints about my supposed job security whenever I talk to them. I try not to talk to anybody. Well, fuck them. That's what I say, fuck them. If they're gonna be like that, tell them to piss off. Not like she's milking it, you know. You know, not like the boss comes in the room and says, we have to talk about your work, and then she just balls into crying and goes, ah! People tell me that I need to move on and get over Rebecca's death. I don't want to. I can't. So I won't. Yeah, I get that feeling, because you're always afraid that if you do the whole moving on thing, then you might forget that person. And that's kind of how I've often felt about Chris. But I've found that you never forget them. They'll always stay with you. So in 5 months, Rebecca was diagnosed. Breathing has become difficult for her. Movement is almost Herculean task now. Our doctors say that we still have hopes. Rebecca is beginning to refuse further treatment. She wants to travel. That's a bad idea. Oh, we've got a choice. Oh well, not really a choice, just she wants to travel. She wants to travel the world before she dies. See all that she can while she can. She's giving up. I don't want her to. She's tired. Too tired for optimism. Too tired for treatment. She's tired of living. We are consider the continuation of her treatment. She only has months left if she doesn't. She is getting visibly weaker and every day passing. She can barely walk, let alone travel the world. It would kill her. Yeah, you never forget someone you love, even when they're top. Yeah, that's very true. And to be honest, things weren't perfect with me and Chris, but there were those moments. You know? Where's the... It said to use the thing to save. Oh, never mind. It doesn't want to be miserable anymore. She wants both of us to spend the rest of her life in some exotic country. To elope from her treatment with money we don't have. With time she doesn't have. I'm going to have to beg for treatment, because I'm not going to lie to her and say, oh yeah, sure we can do this with money that we don't have. And time we don't have. Baby starts talking as though she's going to die. What starts as a heartfelt plea rapidly turns into me screaming and shouting at her. I tell her that we can't afford to travel, that she can hardly walk, that she's stupid for thinking that we could do anything other than try to get her better. Becca quietly agrees to further treatment. It doesn't work. Didn't think it would. Becca only continues to worsen and we are soon out of options. Rebecca can no longer walk or breathe by herself. She often cries, frequently wishing that we could be on a beach somewhere in the Caribbean. I feel guilty. No, if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. It's not your fault. But again, it's a hard thing to shake off. Especially in this fucking society. Save! Alright. 3 days into the anniversary of Rebecca's death. I'm not ready for it. Tuesday. Yeah, this is a really depressing game, so I completely understand if you don't want to hang around for it. Oh shit. Every day goodbye is the same as last. I don't know if it's guilt, loyalty, or just fear that compels me to stay put. Could be a mixture of all three, to be honest. How can I have happiness when I denied her the same? Just to focus on stream raiders and watch. Yeah, that's fine. And hey, Sage Voodoo, how are you doing? Again, I warn people, this game is very depressing. So if you need to duck out, I totally understand. Becca wants me to read some of her book on account that I never have before. I've always condemned her choice to focus on writing as opposed to pursuing legitimate employment. Her writing has always been a source of major contention between us. She wants to know what I think, before that's no longer possible. I don't know what to say. She's desperate for me to read it, despite prior altercations. This makes me feel angry and a little bit guilty. Despite everything, she still insists that her writing career is important to her. The very pursuit that has jeopardized our home, financial security, and our marriage for years. I don't want to encourage her, but it's her passion. I believe, as someone who writes myself, I feel pretty connected to this, and I say I will. Maybe do say never ever on the stream. Oh yeah, a lot of people have that feeling about Final Fantasy IX. I do love Final Fantasy IX. It's a great game. One of my favourites of the series, actually, I'd say. But I haven't played all of them yet, and I do plan to get to them later. But I'm playing other obscure RPGs at the moment. Well, streaming more obscure RPGs, should I say. I told Rebecca that I will read it. It's a collection of short horror stories. I finished them all in just a few days. They're good, really good. Rebecca's university grades were relatively poor, but she was always highly regarded for her fiction writing. She's really talented. I feel guilty. I just didn't tell her, no, I'm not going to read your writing, fuck off. That would have been far worse. I know that she's dying. I even bothered to read any of her work. All those years I've kept Rebecca from her writing aspirations, and now she really may never reach them. When she asks if I'd read it, I'm too embarrassed, ashamed to admit any of this to her. I tell her that I've been too busy. She never asks again. Oh. Would have been best just to tell the truth and say that you really do regret not helping her. I often think that I would do anything to get Rebecca back. Would I? Wednesday. Fuck you, demon phone. A few years to go on with my life, yeah, I still expected a change. Yeah, that definitely hits me hard, that bit. Refusing to go on life, expecting it to change. So it's definitely waiting for something. Was in a no how the game. Oh, I see. Talking about Final Fantasy IX, yeah. Oh, I hate that when people backsit gaming and tell you spoilers and shit and go, oh, did you know this happens? Or what about this? Oh, I can't wait till I get to that bit. Has this happened yet? I often try my best not to backseat game, but I do often ask, like, if it's a game I've experienced with, do you want help. Because as a streamer myself, I will ask for help if I am stuck on something. Yeah, if I am stuck on a puzzle or something, I will ask for help if there are people willing to offer it. But generally, I don't, you know. Generally, I don't want the help. I don't want people saying things unless I'm saying, okay, now I'm stuck on this. If I'm having fun with the difficulty, then of course I don't want people to spoil it. But if I'm like, oh, this fucking puzzle, I'm here for 20 minutes and I still haven't solved it, then I'm kind of like, yeah, I would like some help. Of course, every stream is different. And quite often there's not that many people here, so I often just go online and find a walkthrough that way. It's been 2 months since diagnosis. Rebecca is exhausted from chemotherapy, sick of both the side effects and its administration. She doesn't like her doctor or any of her nurses. She hates the hospital and is very outspoken about how much she doesn't want to be around real cancer patients. Real cancer patients? Becca doesn't want to feel unable. She's restless and very much in denial. Yeah. That's one of the many stages of grief. It's Friday night. Rebecca wants to go out with her friends. I tell her that I don't think it's a good idea for her to be exerting herself so soon after therapy. I need this, she says. I'm scared that this will be too much for Rebecca. But I can't keep her from living her life. Oh, this is a tough fucking one, isn't it? Oh, there we go. I tell Rebecca to have fun. I worry all night, but refrain from calling. Around midnight, Rebecca comes home early. I pretend to be asleep, she's wheezing. I want to ask Rebecca about her night. She says that it was a little too much for her, but she's glad she went. Thank you. Aww. Yeah, as she said, it was hard. It was hard. She's not saying, oh, it's not going to be hard, but she did kind of need that socialization to, at least for one night, forget how she was feeling. Oh, yeah, you know, about Vivi, yeah. Poor Vivi. His story is best to be experienced coming at it blind as well, so that's really shit if people just walking in saying, oh, about this thing, about Vivi, da-da-da-da-da-da. Ugh. Oh, there is another non-binary character in Final Fantasy IX, and that's, Quaino Queg. Hello, what's going on here? What is that? Oh, it does give you options, okay. I think I see something in the bath plug. Is something leaking? It doesn't look like water. Should I go in? Yeah, go in. I'm sure it can't be anything dangerous. Famous last words. Oh yeah, Queen and Queg. They, when it talks about them, it says she/he. So I think their gender is left ambiguous, but I can't be certain about that. But I won't say any more about that person. I'll just say that they're fairly ambiguous, and you've seen them in the background before. They love cooking, and they're massive blue magic. See, it's very thin consistency, almost as though it's oozing out of the plumbing as opposed to dripping or leaking. It looks black. Or maybe red? I don't know. Don't know what it could be. It seems to be coming out the shower head. Yeah, that's right. Put your face right up to it. Looks kind of red. Huh. Yeah, the big tongue, that's it. Queen of Queg, that's the person. But like I said, that's about all I would say. Apart from they master blue magic and they learn blue magic abilities by eating creatures and such. And they can gain some really amazing abilities from that. But that's all I'm going to give you. Oh, also their main weapon is a fork or a spork. But I'm not going to give you any spoilers into that person. I don't know what was in the bath, but whatever it is, I need to forget about it. I can't be thinking about this right now. Not this week. I have some time before I leave for work. I can collect myself in the living room. I'm pretending that everything is alright. It isn't. Well, that's an understatement. Photo book. Interesting photo book. Photos of me and Rebecca on the day we moved in. Probably shouldn't have moved into a house with such expensive rent, but Rebecca wouldn't stop talking about kids. Though Rebecca was set on living in the city, she also thought we need the extra space. I think we would have been good parents. Possible, but I mean, maybe with more of a stable financial thing. Notebook. So the notebooks used to write our stories in. Now you see, if I was this person, I would publish her stories anyway, like, because you can do that quite easily on Amazon. Yeah, blue magic. Yeah, you have. It's also similar to like that ability, that special materia in Final Fantasy VII, where if you get attacked by it, you learn it, which is also a kind of blue magic. Let's see. Come with us. Typical. That's the best way Jane could have described her night. The moon was out, lighting the room in a dull, familiar glow. The air was still, peaceful. It was the perfect condition for sleeping. Many would agree with her, except the typical night had been disturbed in the most atypical way Jane could have imagined. Jane squirmed in her corner of her bed. She pressed herself against the headboard on the wall, hugging her knees. Most of all, she was trembling. It wasn't every night that you wake to find an expressionless child Whoa! The fuck? An expressionless child standing at the end of your bed after all. The main question in Jane's mind was why? Why her? Why tonight? Why a child? Jane never thought of herself as particularly special. Surely this only happened to those who wanted it. The weird and wonderful. Not someone like her. Normal. That's the best way Jane could describe herself. Her name was Jane Audrey Phillips. Named after her two grandmothers, naturally. She had brown, shoulder-length hair. It was practical. Brown eyes like her father. She wasn't particularly tall, neither particularly short. She did well at school. It led to a job that paid her bills. She neither liked her job, nor did she dislike it. She had often thought she was a very neutral person. She didn't think much of anything. Not that she wasn't happy. She was in a calm, contented way. She got on with things. Much like herself, the day could also be described as normal. She awoke 3 minutes before her alarm, as she usually did, ate a reluctant breakfast and headed to work. Work was average, papers needed filing, reports needed writing, minimal conversation, and a sticky R key on her laptop. Turning home, leftovers for dinner, calling her mum, it was a routine she had for years. She went to bed on time and fell asleep in a timely manner. Nothing indicated anything odd should happen to her at all. And yet, there the child stood, at the end of the bed, in her room. And I think we'll take a 2-second break from that for Stream Raiders. Oh yeah, yeah, I've got that up, so yeah, we can just do this. To battle! I need to have something set up for that, should I? Oh, archers, make up your mind. Are you going north or south? Nice kill there, Turkey. Dead. Haha! Yeah, Turkey, you get a Buster Scroll. That's always helpful. I find Buster's quite useful. I'm heading this way for the token chest, so everyone can get some extra tokens. Well, everyone that wishes to join, that is. There's not going to be too many people, so I might as well just try and level up the archer a little. And get that quest done. Alright, back to the game. Page 2. It was a girl. It was wearing a white nightgown, reminiscent of times far gone. It had long, unwavering, dark hair. His face was pale and eyes were dark. It made Jane uncomfortable to think of the strange spectre as a girl, so she didn't. The young girl wouldn't find herself in a stranger's room in the middle of the night. This was not a young girl. This was all Jane could figure out. The woman had already tried asking it for information, but it wouldn't speak. It didn't react at all. It just stared at her. There was a chill on her spine she was desperately trying to ignore, almost as if someone was slowly dragging an icicle up her back. She pressed herself harder against the wall. The sensation didn't cease. Finally, the child parted its pale lips. Though this was once the outcome Jane was hoping for, somehow it only terrified her more. She shrunk back further on the bed. She was shivering. Come with us. Jane sucked in her breath as the child spoke. Its voice was small and soft. It sounded like a little girl. It almost left Jane less afraid. Almost, but the eyes were so dark and the stare was so intense. Jane desperately wanted to look away or close her eyes, but she didn't. The woman was terrified if she broke eye contact, the child would do something. She couldn't know what. The unease only grew. The child's face remained blank as it stared, though its head tilted to the side. It was almost cute, only almost. Jane suddenly realized it was waiting for a response. The woman released the breath she didn't realize she was holding. Where? Her voice wobbled as she spoke, her lip left trembling. The child shook its head a little, its dark hair shuffling over its chest. Come with us. That's bloody good, though. I just hadn't forgotten to place it. Nah, it's fine, Turkey, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Films. That's a lot of films. Almost as impressive as my collection. Well, some of them. Almost as impressive as my collection. I'll see if I can point out. There you go, look at all those films over there. Turn this way. There you go, all that. And there's another 2 layers down there, and that's all doubled up. So you've got another row behind those rows. So, yes, I've got plenty of shit to watch. Not to mention the random DVDs I have hanging around the place, around everywhere. Let me just put that back. So yeah, I've got loads of stuff. TV!
Let me die. Let me die.
The Brain That Wouldn't Die. Oh, that's a classic horror film, that is. Oh, The Brain That Wouldn't Die. That's a B-movie classic, that one is. Brain That Wouldn't Die. I used to like this one. The film is about a mad scientist who manages to keep a woman's severed head alive for several days. The woman begs for him to let her die. Unsurprisingly, I no longer care for it. I was thinking an old film like that's probably public domain, so if they did show bits of it, it wouldn't cause any copyright issues. Leave, because there's nothing else to do. To work on an adventure. Oh, we're getting a scene at work, are we? If someone badmouths us, can I tell them to fuck off? Please finish report by the end of tomorrow. Maybe you'd be happier working so. Oh, piss off! Passive aggressive comments certainly aren't uncommon around here, but I don't think I can put this report off any longer. I'll do the bulk of the work tomorrow. I can't do this right now. I'd say do the bulk of it now, because you can't control what's going to happen in the future. Something shit might happen. Plus, it might improve their view of you. Maybe not, because they might be complete cunts, but you never know. Oh. That didn't look good. I see comfort working here after Rebecca's death. I could pretend that she was at home, waiting for me, just like before. A small part of me really believed that she would be. Yeah, I can completely understand that. You have that exact outfit, do you? Yeah, that was the bathtub filling with what might be blood, what might be something else. It was that weird blacky stuff. Yeah, that stuff. That weird, like, as you said, is it black or blood or... I mean, it looks like it could be blood. And I think it's kind of obvious from the title of the game that it's something to do with the Morph Girl. Whatever was leaking in, I completely filled the bath. It looks like blood. I need to call somebody out to fix this. I don't want to. I don't have to deal with any of this. I can't deal with this. Not today. Not this week. Not anymore. Yeah, that's pretty much my reaction if I saw that in the bathtub. I'll just use the downstairs bathroom. Let's call for someone. Hello, my bath is haunted. Ghostbusters? Don't know the bath, how it looks as though it's filled with blood. As I expected, they didn't believe me. They can't send anybody over until Monday. And I'm expected to live with a bath full of this for 3 days. Great. Yeah, little panic attack. Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure quite a few people would have a panic attack seeing that. Well, unless you're a serial killer and you kill the person, in which case, okay, that's just a Monday, but, It's moving. Could it be the Morph Girl? Yes, it is. There she comes. Oh shit. I can't believe she didn't hear that. I can usually hear if someone's walking past my room. Well, not with his headphones on, but I can usually hear that. It's time to take a vacation. Becca always insisted on living in the city. It's expensive. We can only afford a small house. It's overpaid, ugly, and the landlord is a bitch. Were we to live anywhere else, this place would be a fraction of the rent I pay for. I pay for it. I can get us somewhere bigger. Maybe then we could afford what Rebecca needs for recovery. I want to move. Make sure that Rebecca gets better as fast as possible is more important to me. But Rebecca insists on me stay. She says that the city is our home, that she doesn't want to leave our memories behind. It's a terrible place. We could save money. Fucking capitalism, we'll have to move. I told Rebecca that it isn't a decision to make. I'm the one working to pay for our rent. She chose this house. It's my turn. I wouldn't quite word it like that, but Becca reluctantly agrees. She doesn't speak to me for hours until we get an urgent call about a test result. We drive to the hospital in silence. It's not good news. It's terminal. Becca is dying. Friday. Oh, it's Sam called it in. Sabrina. Freya. Phone. Oh, bath's empty. I'm surprised this thing's been up for hours and has been here for most of the day and it hasn't done anything. I think I heard something break in the kitchen. Is somebody in there? Don't have time for any of this. I'm already late for work and I didn't finish my report today. I could lose my job. Honestly, I'd rather be burgled. Should I go in? Yeah, let's go in and see what the fuck's happening. Hello? Personally, I would go to work and say, there's nothing here. I was sure I heard something break in here, but nothing seems to be out of place. Maybe it was nothing? What the hell? There's a note there. Ilana. Me and Rebecca used to write notes like this for each other. She used to leave them so that I would see them before I left for work. Is this some kind of joke? This isn't funny. Only someone who knows enough about me and Rebecca would do something so personal. Even the handwriting looks like Rebecca's. I'm so late for work. Yeah, I'd fucking freak out as well if I saw that. You mean all night? Yeah, that's what I mean, all night. But also part of the day, because she said she's late for work, so I don't know exactly how far for the day she is. But regardless, yeah, pretty much, she's been there all night, and, you know, the rest of the evening when she was back home. And yet, she didn't make any noise until now. Bloody sneaky little Morph Girl, is this... Well, let's be fair, it didn't look like a girl, it looked like a woman. Morph woman. It would have been very awkward if it was a girl, considering she was naked getting out of the bath. Hello? Nothing. Nobody seems to be there. Guess I'll hang up. That's my home number. Is someone really inside my house? They're trying to call me from my own house? Should this be some kind of joke? I shouldn't answer it. They've broken into my home. I really need to finish this report by the end of the day. But then maybe I should answer it? I have no idea who this person is and I might be calling. Who knows who it could be? Who knows who it could be? Answer. I'll choose the bad points because I like to get killed in horror films. Ooh, sounds like breathing to me. Heavy breathing. Strained, raspy, and painful breathing for what sounds like a woman. It's absolutely horrifying. It sounds so painfully familiar, so reminiscent of Rebecca's breathing over the last couple of months of her life. Just as the cancer has begun to spread to her lungs. Who could be doing this? Why are they doing this? Ah! Okay, I'm shitting myself. Ah! Yeah, I would completely shit myself if I was that person. Stay calm. Whoever is doing this is responsible for everything that's happened. This is just some terrible joke. I will just call the police, change the locks, and forget any of this ever happened. Everything will be fine. Normal. Ah! Why is she doing upstairs? You're right by the front door. Why would you go upstairs? A stranger is in your fucking kitchen, just staring at you in all fucking Samara-like from The Ring, and your first instinct is to go upstairs. Okay. If she has a gun, that's a good idea. But if not, then that's a bad idea. The figure standing in the kitchen. Despite everything, it felt like Rebecca. Isn't Rebecca? Maybe if I hit it long... Yeah, see, she's hiding. She's not getting a gun. She's hiding. Maybe if I hide it long enough, it'll leave its own accord. I'll stay here until it does. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. Becca has been hospital-ridden for a week now. She's on life support. Yeah, she stopped that. Agreed. She could no longer move or speak. She could barely breathe. We had to take her. She will never leave. Doctors say that she has only days left. She's going to die. Rebecca is in horrific pain. She frequently gestures to her life support. I know what she wants. Oh, God. I'm pretty certain you can get done for murder if you bloody do it, but at the same time, if you're in so much pain, it's not it's not a simple. It's not as black and white as people like to make, as certain lawmakers like to make it out to be. In that situation, if I was as much to do as her, do it. I pull Rebecca's life support. Rebecca flatlines less than a minute later. It's what she wanted, but it isn't what I wanted. If I would refuse, she would only spend her remaining days in agony, waiting to die. But there was so much I wanted to say, so much I should have said to her. Her friends, her family, they never even got to say goodbye. I took that from them. I panicked, and now she's gone. You killed her. Saturday. You're fired because you didn't finish your fucking report. I'm guessing it's gonna happen. Oh God, the door's open. That's not a good sign. From the sound of it, she's watching television. Or it's watching television. Depends how you want to classify this creature. Have gun and swords and bad meds that make my schizophrenic actor switching who's in control. Yeah, first. Especially if you got a weapon, that would be the best place to look. Oh no, TV's on there, so was she here? Bills. Overdue rent. Becca was always too focused on her right to consider employment, but we managed until I was demoted. Photos. Oh yeah, I'm trapped in the bedroom. It's a photograph of me and Rebecca at a party, just a few days after we met. I was alone at university. I spent a lot of nights at student bar alone, hoping that I wouldn't be. One night I wasn't. I met Rebecca. She very quickly introduced me to her circle of friends and invited me to a party later that week. We kissed for the first time that night. Aww. Notebook. Oh, one of the news. Write out short stories in these. Right, what other horrifying things are we going to read about? Well, we're going to get interrupted. Oh no. Come with us, page 5. So we've skipped several pages. Afraid I was the only emotion Jane could put into words. The child never left. She stayed by Jane's side until the terrified woman left for work. Acting normal seemed quite the task for her. Jane returned home wishing the child would be gone. At last she was sat quiet and as ever at the kitchen table, turning her head to Jane as she entered the room. Jane spent the day trying to ask the child questions about her name, where she came from, who she was. The woman was met with silence each time. She gave up, continued as normal. If she ignored her, she might go away. But whenever Jane went, the child followed. Wherever Jane sat, the child sat against her. Ignorance wasn't an option. When night fell, the child followed her closely through her routine, silent and emotionless. Jane hesitantly climbed into her bed. The child stood there. She had done the night before and pointed, knitting her brow once again. Carefully, Jane offered the other side of the bed to her. The child did as she wanted and lay next to the trembling woman. Jane pressed her back against the wall as the child stared at her from the pillow beside her own. They stared at each other for a while before the child sighed that soft little sigh again and closed her eyes. Jane didn't dare move her gaze from what felt like hours. But the child didn't move. Her eyes remained closed, and she was softly breathing. Jane knew that the child didn't eat, nor did it use the bathroom. There was very little reason to believe the child needed to sleep. Paranoid, the woman remained obstinately awake. Jane opened her eyes quickly, breathing rapidly as she realized she had fallen asleep. The child's eyes were open, though her position had not moved. It scared Jane to wake up with those dark eyes staring at her once again. The room was still dark. Jane desperately tried to regulate her breathing. As her eyes swept the room, she let out a small shriek. Jane scrambled to sit up in the bed, pressing her back hard against the wall. There was a second child stood at second child stood at the foot of her bed, staring at her with the exact same dark eyes. This child appeared to be a boy. The hair was shorter, but just as dark and flat. It particularly obscured his eyes. The child was also wearing a nightgown. They appeared to be a matching set, though they didn't acknowledge each other, only her. Jane briefly tore her eyes away from the second child to look at the first. She was sitting now, too, but her gaze was fixed on Jane. "Come with us," they spoke in unison. The woman sucked in her breath and fought the urge to cry. She shook her head a little in response. Jane then felt the first child sit closer, her hair brushing against her arm. Jane looked down. The girl was staring right at her, leaning her head against her shoulder once again. "Come with us," she spoke, her voice soft. Somehow it calmed her. She felt herself able to breathe again. "Where?" she asked the girl. The child simply sighed and looked ahead, resting on her shoulder. Jane moved her gaze to the boy who was staring at her. "Where?" she asked again. In response, he moved to where the girl stood the night before. Jane blinked at him and looked down to the bed. "Do you want to get on the bed too?" she asked fearfully. He did so, leaning against the girl, looking ahead as she did. All Jane could do was focus on taking breaths in and out. They sat like that till morning. Ugh, that's fucking terrifying. I would pretty much shit the bed at that point. I quite literally would. TV. Attack of the Giant Leeches. This is one of Becca's old movies. She used to make fun of me for liking it. She said it was a really bad film. Well, yeah, it's one of those really bad B movies. But you know what? It is. You know what? But you can have a laugh at it, you know. Let's watch Attack of the Giant Leeches. Surely it'd be like the film Frogs or Night of the Lepus. Was it Lepus? Where it had giant rabbits chasing after people, which is really, really stupid. Because rabbits generally aren't carnivorous. I wonder how much of this film is actually on here. Because like I said, I think these old B movies are so old that they probably could have the whole thing on, but yeah. I can't believe someone was actually trying to copyright someone I watched. Rabbits. Well, okay. Yeah, but any creature that's rabid always acts against its typical will, you know? Rabbits normally don't eat flesh. Attack of the Giant Leeches. Yeah, it seems like they have the full film here. We're not going to watch the full film, don't you worry.
Just hold it a second, Lamb. Liz? You hear me, girl?
You hear me, girl? Oh my god, I wish my sister was as hot as her.
What do you want now?
I wish my sister was as hot as her.
Not like this, girl.
Oh, don't bother me.
Liz,
God damn it.
someday I'm gonna give that she-cat a whopping she's been asking for.
Hello down to us. I don't know who wears the pants around here.
Be back in a minute.
Typical bloody yokels. Trying to say that 10 times fast and fails miserably. Yeah, rabbits are... Yeah, rabbits.
Come on now, Lem, and tell us about that thing you killed out there at the swamp, will you? Yeah, Lem, let's hear the rest of that.
Like I was saying, I put 5 slugs into that critter before it went under. Doggonest thing I ever seen. And regular arms on it like a man.
Hmm?
It was sort of different looking. Had suckers on them. Like one of them octopus's things.
Octopus's things.
Lem, you sure that critter wasn't pink?
Oh, I told you before, it was sort of gray looking. Well, laugh if you want. But that thing weren't nothing nature put out there. Oh, sure. And it weren't no freak gator neither.
Oh, I
I've been
bet.
poaching this country for 40 years, and I ain't never seen nothing like it.
Too bad you didn't bring it back. Steve Benton probably paid a fair bounty for whatever it was.
Bounty? I wouldn't touch that critter for all the money ever made. And if you seen it, you wouldn't...
All the
either.
sisters you can offer.
Better take it easy on this stuff. You looking kind of peaked.
No. I'm gonna clean my otter lines out before
Oh, cool.
morning.
Lem, I think that critter's a ghost of one of those otters you've been poaching all these years, coming back to haunt you.
Well, generally, if I don't find the battles that difficult, so I would just say use them whenever you can.
See it right quick
That's what I do. Yeah, it's not as entertaining until you actually get to the bad parts, like the... As I'm pretty certain the horrible effects that would be in that film. Right, what's on the table? Anything interesting? A diary, rose, trinket, ring. Let's look at the trinket. It's Chris' graduation bear I gave to Rebecca when she graduated. As she had encouraged me to become more confident and outgoing, I'd pushed and tutored Rebecca to finish university. I was so proud of her that day, and so very grateful. Look at diary. Is it going to have any new entries saying, I came back from the dead? And my wife acted so strange towards me, it was weird. Entry 1. She said no. My dreams might as well just stay in my sleep. Who gives a shit? Clearly not me. I'll just stay in the hospital and be miserable for the rest of my short fucking life. Oh Christ. I only asked Elena to read my stories. Well, not all of them. Just the ones I wanted to publish. I won't be able to publish them now. Oh well. She's the biggest critic I have anyway. She said she would. It makes me nervous. I don't know why. When we were studying, she used to read what I wrote. But that was for school. After I graduated and decided to write full time, she wasn't interested. Started off not having time or interest for it. Ended up shouting at me every time I mentioned it. Clearly, dying is the exception. No, clearly dying is the exception. I've always wondered what she'll say. I never found out. She said she was too busy. It was just 5 short stories. She could have read it in the evening. She doesn't spend with me. I know she hates seeing me like this, but she won't be seeing me all soon enough. It would be nice if she could just think about me. Yeah, that's the thing I said. See, I said it should have been obvious and say to her, you know, and apologise and say, look, I'm sorry. Yeah. Entry number 3. Wow, that was the first night I've had out in so long. The usual gang asked me to go out with them for the first time in a while, since I told them I was on treatment, really. They were a bit sympathetic and annoying at first, but once the alcohol kicked in, things went back to normal. I haven't been drunk in so long either. It was great. I could forget about all that shit and just laugh and dance and do whatever the hell I want. I got tired and pretty wheezy. Treatment really does kick you in the balls. But I had a good time. I refused to let it bring me down. Not even for 1 second. Lena was worried, I know she was. But I appreciate her accepting my choice. She doesn't always do that anymore. I think she'll ask me to join them more often now. They were so scared of it before. I think they were terrified they would break me. But they can try all they like. Life can't get rid of me that easy. Things are going great, just great. Until she said she wanted to move house. Lena did her Elena thing and decided she wanted to move. So of course we have to do it. She hated our home from the very beginning. She wanted to live in the country or somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Somewhere boring. Just so we can have a better place for our budget. I don't care about living in a fancy house. Fancy houses don't make good homes. Back then she knew how to compromise. So we got this place in the outskirts of the city. I had a vision for it the moment she stepped in. The landlord is a bitch, but she's just a stepping stone. We'd be out of there as soon as Elena got promotion, or I could publish my book. It wouldn't be a hassle when we moved because we already live in the city of our dreams. We're already part of the community and know our way around. We just get to live in a slightly fancier place. Alright, fancy houses can be homes if you earn them. I'll admit it. But living in a shitty place, neither of us want, just so we can have fancy shit is cheating. I hate it. I don't want to live in the middle of nowhere just so I can have a hospital bed and living room and stupid accessible old person bathroom. That will mean I'll have to get away with everything even when I go home. Elena has to get her way with my life once again. So I'll just live in the middle of nowhere in a shitty unfamiliar house. Just looks like a hospital. It's all in my best interest, of course. So, after all that, shitty day, big argument, stirring silence, long as fuck car drive, all to be told I'm dying. Elena won't even look at me. I don't want to look at me. What the fuck do I even do? Whoa, what the fuck? You murdered me. Oh shit, too late for this screenshot. Oh, that doesn't seem like Steam is capable. Anyway, to the raid. But yeah, that's a lot of characters, Turkey. There they go. Nicely done. You're the only person, so you get 3 flag bearer scores. Here we go. Green one. Green loyalty chest means that you'll get extra tokens. 0 plays 6. Nice. And this was a very hard one, so I would suggest using that epic here. Although I may just use an epic as well. I might just use something legendary actually. Mage! There we go. Alright, we looked at the trinket, diary, rose. You murdered me. A preserved rose. Becca gave this to me at last Valentine's Day we spent together. She said it would last forever, so she would make up for all the Valentine's Days she was going to miss. It is wilting. So that's what happens with flowers. They can't grow like that forever. Ring. Well, the diary was definitely the creepiest bit, wasn't it? It's an engagement ring that I used to propose a few weeks after we'd moved in together. Aww. It was a very cheap ring. We didn't have a lot of money at the time. I was so worried she wouldn't like it. I don't think she did, though she would have never admitted it to me. Next. Leave this place and assume that the creature is no longer around, although that's probably a very stupid idea. It is most certainly still around. No. It makes all your options epic, but not all the units, obviously. That'd be way too overpowered. You could win any battle if you did that. Even if you all had level 1 units, and you were fighting level 10s, you'd probably all win if every single one was epic. Ah, shit! It's waiting for me. What does it want? It hasn't done anything to me yet. It feels like Rebecca. What if it's okay? Maybe I should approach it? But then maybe I should grab a knife from the kitchen first? Just to be safe? Ooh, like I said, let's do the stupid horror movie tropes and go in. I'm sure we'll be completely fine. You murdered me, now I'll murder you! God damn, that's creepy. Aw, she just wants to be loved. It wasn't Rebecca. But aside from some inconsistencies in both memory and personality, his actions were almost identical to hers. And that was real enough for me. There you go, Life of the Monster Girl. Yeah. I like how they haven't even combed the hair out of the way or made it appear more human. It's close enough to human for me. I moved to an affordable country home, just like I wanted. It was a nice place, somewhere comfortable, where I could hide Rebecca from the world. It barely spoke, and it never felt human to me. but I would go on and pretend things were just as they were prior to Rebecca's death for almost 11 months. Well, life didn't really change after Rebecca came back. I got another office job. At first, it was refreshing to be around co-workers that didn't resent me, but my life was too secretive to ever make friends. It may have been the same old routine, but now I wasn't in it alone. I now had a creepy creature living in my house. Even the undead need wubs. So true, so true. Thing is, it hasn't really acted human, which is why I'm. Oh, now it kind of is, I guess. What are you doing there? I cut up the neighbor's cat. Want some? I often feel guilty, but never guilty enough to return to my grief. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Come with us, page 11. Abnormal. Perhaps this was. Jane realized people could probably see her. They were in the open field that was at the back of the house. They walked in a line, the children in front, herself following, holding out her raw hands. They led her through the field. She didn't know how long they'd been walking for. Whenever she faltered or hesitated, without looking, they knew. Come with us, they would encourage her. So she continued. Until they came to the lake, she stopped in her tracks. No, I'm not, I can't. They all stood in line and turned to her. They faced her with blank expressions. They didn't speak, as she expected them to. They waited. Jane's gaze darted between them and her burned hands. The pain was making her restless. She shifted her weight from leg to leg, rocking from side to side. They waited. I can't come with you, she spoke quickly. They walked towards her. Jane felt her heart quicken. The little boy took her hand, as did the girl. The other boy took hold of her dress. They looked at her. The touch of their icy hands felt good against her burning skin. The three of them blinked at her unexpectedly, though they didn't speak. She took one step forwards. They all stepped with her. She inhaled and took another step. Slowly they made their way to the edge of the water. In there, she spoke softly. Jane could feel herself shaking. Come with us, they responded, stepping ahead of her into the water. Jane trailed her fingers along the surface of the water just as the children disappeared from view. She smiled. She followed. It was shallow at first. She stepped down a little deeper. The water was soft and smoothing on her burning skin. It was cool, but not uncomfortable. It felt nice. Jane found herself welcoming it. Atypical. Finding yourself following three identical-looking expressionless children who showed up in the middle of the night into a lake was odd, by anyone's standards, especially Jane's. She expected no one would believe her. Not that anyone would know. Jane had lived her life by the book, following all the rules. Such abnormality happening to the most normal person she knew herself. Jane trailed her fingers along the surface of the water just as the children disappeared from view. She smiled. Interesting ending to that story. I died 11 months later. Whatever it was, our relationship was symbiotic, imitating loved ones to feed off of willing hosts to survive. As it turns out, there's only so long a person can last in such a relationship. I don't know if it was worth it, but it was easy. Dead. Oh, so it was feeding off the motions. Ugh. Creepy fuck. This is one of 6 endings of the Ling story. Your choices incur real consequences, significantly altering the conclusion to Morph Girl. Will you find them all? Gotta catch 'em all. Well, that was an interesting trip. I'm not going to try and get all the endings, but I will try and get a few other ones. Let's see. Waiting for me. Let's see what happens. What does it want? Maybe I should... I'll grab a knife this time. I don't know what you are, but I'm going to arm myself. Oh yeah, it is a short game, but it's also highly narrative. That's it, get a big one. Still creates the offer. Knife! Die, monster! You don't deserve to live in this world. Stab, 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 stab. And that was the end of that. Everything would be and remain the same. Everything would return to normal, never changing. You flag bearers stack their bonuses. No. But then again, that was said, and then during a versus mode, I remember our team lost to someone who had like 8 flag bearers, so I don't know. I don't think they're meant to. Oh, hint about flag bearers. They only get better at every milestone, so don't feel you have to upgrade them as much as other units. Like, say, warriors and tanks and rogues. Those are the more important ones, especially rogues if you want to get those treasure chests. You want to smash those treasure chests and get all that extra gold. Page 9. Didn't Miriam Mars, she had forgotten about her work until midday. She had spent the day sitting around the dining room table with the children. She had prepared them all cereal, and it sat untouched in front of them. Jane found herself too exhausted to eat much herself. Clearly none of them had an appetite. She asked them questions, all 5 of them individually. Bloody hell, 5?! She knew they looked the same, but it didn't mean they wanted to be treated the same. She identified her first little girl as the most confident. She had pointed and shown distress and resistance. Her first boy was attentive. He very occasionally would do something that his siblings would not. The twin girls were affectionate. They often stood close to one another, their skin touching, though one always the first to move closer than they briefly separated. The smallest boy was sweet. The way he looked up at her melted her heart a little. She smiled at them all in silence. She suddenly didn't care for work. They would only send her home. Jane found herself reluctant to leave the house at all. Finally she stood and began collecting away the dishes. "Go sit in there now," she spoke lightly. They filled out the room after her and gathered at the entrance of the living room, watching and waiting for her. She disappeared from their sight, and she noted that they stayed in the room as she told them to. Jane allowed herself to smile a little. She never thought she'd become content. There was still fear, but it no longer gripped her. She was free. Jane returned to her children. They were gathered by the fireplace. She had lit the fire when they had first descended the stairs together. It warmed the room nicely. The but they were standing too close. Their eyes were immediately on her as she entered the room, following her. Come away from the fire, she beckoned. Come away from the fire, she beckoned them over. They did as she said. You don't want to burn yourself. Come with us, they all spoke together. It startled her. It was the first time they'd spoken outside her bedroom. She swallowed down her fear and clasped her shaking hands together. I'll come with you, if you tell me where. Their heads all snapped to the fireplace and began filing one by one over it. Come with us. They spoke again. Jane parted her lips to warn them of the fire once more, but was met with horror as the twin girls both climbed into the flames. Come with us. The duo spoke at her, returning her gaze as they crouched in the burning heat. No! Jane screamed at them. She pulled the remaining three away from the fire. They looked at her with bland faces. You'll burn! She tried to reach for the twins. It burned at her hands and her arms, but she continued to tug at them. Her heartbeat was loud in her ears. Her frantic movements were no use. The children only seemed to burn, their skin growing red and blistered. The dresses they wore were slowly eaten by the flames, their hair also beginning to fall in locks. Jane dropped to her knees at the fireplace. She held out raw hands. They didn't speak. They didn't scream. They just melted away right in front of her. Jane couldn't stop the tears that certainly staked down her cheeks. Ugh. That's a horrible ending. I mean, James, I'm going to put many tank types. Yeah. Will you find them all?